Hey guys, this training video will teach you how to perform the vehicle damage annotation version 3.0 task. Now, before we proceed, I would like to bring to your attention that there are some major changes to how the vehicle damage annotation task is done, and that is the reason why you are required to rewatch this new training video. And basically, at the end of the video, you'll be given a webinar code, and also you will be also given a link to fill up the webinar sheet, where you will need to fill it up, and only then you will be assigned to the production task. This is because we have changed a few things in the task instructions and also the way we assess the damage. So we would require you to watch this video and understand fully before you actually work on the task. Now let's go through what the task is all about. So what you're familiar with is some things are the same, where you're required to look at the vehicle and assess the condition of a damaged vehicle, whereby you will have certain classifications given. Okay, now what you're required to do is you need to basically see the image that you got. Okay, look at the body panels that are damaged, and also draw a box and rate the damage scale. Now, please make sure when you are grading the vehicles, you are grading them objectively and avoid any subjective decisions. Okay, because sometimes you might see the same image, same vehicle from a different angle in the task. So you need to make sure you are looking at the picture objectively. Now, basically, you'll be given an image where you will be given a URL, where the URL defines what angle of the vehicle is, what angle the picture of the vehicle is. So that's the front passenger, front driver angle, driver rear angle, passenger rear angle, interior front, and interior rear. So all these are the angles of the picture. Okay, so and basically what you're required to do is you need, based on the picture that you're getting, okay, you need to assess the damage of the entire vehicle, visible damage of the entire visible part of the vehicle. Which means if you have a picture that only shows you from the front passenger view, okay, if you cannot see the damage on the on maybe the uh, rear passenger side, you don't assume that there could be a damage. Okay, very important. Okay, now, and also all your understanding before this, and also your understanding based on the daily automotive condition analysis, those things are completely not completely irrelevant. There are some things that are no longer relevant. Okay, like for example, before this you will not assess the side mirror, you won't assess the lamps and all, right? But this, you are assessing the entire vehicle as a whole. Okay, and certain classifications have changed quite a bit, so we have to go through them and make sure that you understand them completely. All right, now what is expected of you? You are expected to basically look and annotate the damaged vehicle, be it exterior, be it interior, based on the vehicles that are shown. Now you are required to draw a bounding box, one bounding box, okay, for the entire image surrounding only the damaged area. If there is uh, a part of the vehicle that is not damaged, okay, you don't annotate them. Okay, very important. We have had issues where uh, workers decided to box the entire vehicle, or box vehicles that were not supposedly the damaged vehicle. Make sure when you are annotating only one box, and the box only covers the damaged areas. Okay, now basically, as I said, you need to determine the severity of the damage of the of the specified vehicle. Okay, and also give an overall score on what is the level of damage is. Now, very important, again, emphasize this again and again, do not guess the extent of the damage if you have encountered the same picture from a different angle. Each picture is unique, and you make sure you only mark the visible damage, and rating must only be based on the visible damage or visible angle of the vehicle. Okay, there were a lot of confusions about interior, exterior, and also the different angles. Everything we will clarify it in this training video. Okay, now step one, understanding the body panels. As usual, before we start, you need to understand all the body panels. So because you have worked on this task before, the daily automotive condition, I am expecting you to be able to know all the body parts of a vehicle. Okay, and again, for this, okay, you are required to assess all, okay, understanding, you, as I said, all the whole part of the vehicle, okay, the entire vehicle. Okay, all right, that is the key word here. Okay, your assessment is based on the entire vehicle. Of course, the entire vehicle means the visible parts of that vehicle. Okay, make sure. All right, now annotating the visible damage seen. Okay, so what you're required to do, once you have already identified the damage, where the damage is in that particular vehicle, you need to draw a single box around the damaged panel. It could be one single panel that is damaged, or it could be multiple panels that is damaged, but you're only allowed to draw one box covering those damaged areas. Okay, and basically how to answer, the same thing. You will be given with, you will draw a box. Okay, and then you will basically use the tool to draw a box around the damage. You can resize the box, make sure the box is tight and proper. Okay, and also zoom in, zoom out, and make sure, okay, you select the rating. So the rating is what we have to go through right now to make sure you understand properly. All right, now step 3, create the visible damage on the scale provided. So we're going to spend a lot of time talking about the scale right now, because that is what that is most important in this grading, and a lot of things have changed. I emphasize again this to you, a lot of things have changed. Okay, and the reason why we are going through this video now is because you need to make sure you are well aware of the damage, different scales of damage that we have for this new grading system, and apply it for this particular task. Okay, you will see some elements of overlapping from the daily automotive condition task, but okay, the difference is this: you are grading the entire vehicle, no, nothing is excluded. Okay, and there are some major differences in the way we see a particular damage. Okay, and we will go through all of it together. So please pay attention to this video. Now this video will be available at any point in time. Okay, so you can go through this part here and you can watch the video, you can access the video right here. Okay, and from time to time we will prepare an edge case document where we have certain new findings. We will add it to this document so that you don't have to keep going through this document right here. Okay, and of course, as I said, the webinar code, I will read out the webinar code later. I'll show you how to fill up the code. And remember, you will only get access to attempt this production task if you fill up the webinar code and watch this video. Now, sorry, moving back to this part right here. Now, basically the damage scales. What are the damage scales that we have? There are basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are a total of 6 damage scales that we have. Okay, now the first one is no damage or no scratches or minor scratches. So the category for the first category here is basically any vehicle that is completely fine, no scratches, or has some minor scratches. You will treat it as this category, which is the first category. Okay, so what is the criteria? Of course, 1, the car is perfectly fine, nothing is wrong, or you have some minor scratches. Okay, for example, what are minor scratches? Paint chips, scuff marks, or rusty spots. Okay, all right. Now please note, flat tire is considered as minor scratch, which will fall under this particular damage scale. Now, very important, make sure, okay, you are very clear with these instructions right here, where Flat tires are considered as minor scratch. Okay, do not treat them uh, as heavy damage or anything as we did before. Okay, so anything that is minor scratches will be is considered as no damages or minor scratches. It's the same category. Okay, now the second category that we want to look at is small dents or dings. Okay, basically, okay, any small dents or multiple rusty spots on the exterior of the vehicle is considered as small dents or dings. Okay, so as for the interior, if the interior is dirty, okay, or if there are light tears on the seat, I say light tears, if there's a huge hole in the seat, that is no longer a small uh, dent or tear. Okay, now so here are some of the examples. So you have a slight dent. Okay, if you have a bumper that is perfectly fine, just that it's detached from the vehicle, that would be under slight dent and dings also. Okay, of course, if the bumper is detached and the bumper is destroyed completely, you will rate accordingly. Okay, so now if you realize something, until now I've not said anything about uh, heavy damages. Okay, so now we are moving into heavy scratches. Okay, so if right now we are moving into talking about heavy scratches, we haven't gone into heavy damages yet. So as of now, these two categories only deal with, okay, um, minor scratches, okay, and slight dents and dings. And also now we are moving to heavy scratches. Heavy scratches will also fall under small dents and dings. Okay, light wear and tear in the interior. Again, something that is a little bit more, where there is a tear on the seat, okay, or on the seat or on the dashboard or something. Light tear, when I say light tear, okay, if there's a heavy tear, obviously it will move into heavy damage area. Okay, only heavy scratches are considered small dents and dings. Okay, very important, please make sure you understand this. Now again, so here's a disclaimer: the following skills are all to be selected if you start seeing heavy damages on the visible part of the vehicle. Let me add this here. Okay, all right, so I keep stressing visible part and also uh, heavy damages in this part. Okay, now here we go again. So a quarter or less than a quarter of the vehicle panels are visible vehicle panels. Visible vehicle panels are heavily damaged. Okay, more than half of the visible, okay, vehicle is, so V is visible. So the keyword is visible. As you can see, I'm always emphasizing the word visible right here. So more than half of the visible vehicle is still in good condition with no visible damage. Again, I emphasize the word visible. Okay, all right, now detached bumpers. Okay, all right, detached bumpers, bumpers that are, okay, detached dumpers that are broken, broken wheels, wheels that are broken. So flat tire is not broken wheels. Broken wheels is when the wheels are broken. Okay, dented panels or shattered glass panels, shattered glass panel. Okay, so the keyword here is how much of the vehicle is damaged. So means if you have a whole car, okay, a quarter of the car, if you look at only the front part, that's maybe that's like a quarter for you. Okay, the two front doors, the front passenger, front driver, those are basically another quarter, so which that makes it 50% then. So right now we're only looking at quarter, which means if you think about it logically, only basically the front part, the bumper, the fender, the hood, the front windscreen, those are all part of the first first quarter of the vehicle. Okay. Now, so if basically any of the if you have panels that are heavily damaged, okay, heavily damaged, okay, you will basically start saying that this is, okay, 25% damage. Okay. Okay, so and also deployed airbag. So again, if the vehicle is perfectly fine, so we'll look at the example later. If the vehicle is completely fine, but you have airbags being deployed, so in order for the airbag to be deployed, there has to be a tear. And the tear is not just a light tear, it will be quite a major tear. So if it's a major tear, it will already be into this 25% damage. Okay, because here there's only light tear. Anything beyond light tear follows this part, this category already. Okay, now there is quite a big jump between small dents and also the 25% damage. So we need to make sure that we understand the severity between and the differences between these two. Okay, one way is that everything here is still minor, slight damage. The moment it becomes heavy, that's where it becomes you have any heavy damage, that's when it becomes this scale onwards. Okay, and of course, what extent of the heavy damage is across the vehicle. If the whole vehicle is 25% damaged, okay, or less than 25 but with heavy damage, obviously it will be in this category here, 25% damage. Okay, now we'll look at more examples below here. Second is 50% damage. So basically 50% damage is basically half, almost half, or a little bit more than half of the vehicle across the interior and exterior of the vehicle, and or exterior of the vehicle is damaged. However, okay, if you look at the picture, the other half of the vehicle is still in good condition and does not have any visible damage. Okay, very important. Okay, 50% damage means exactly half. Okay, now if you have the front hood damaged and the rear bumper also damaged, so that actually makes 50%, because the other 50% is the driver and passenger and also rear passenger seating positions. Or if that particular panel is all fine, only the front and the back part is damaged, obviously you will treat it as also 50%. Okay, and of course the how much, if it's just the bumpers, the front and the back bumper, obviously it's not damage. Okay, you have to see the extent, okay, to what level the damage is. Okay, now the next one is 75% damage. So over 3/4 of the vehicle is heavily damaged, and this usually is inclusive of the exterior and also the interior. Because let's look at it this way, the car, there's exterior and also interior. Okay, there's like 50% of the vehicle could be just the exterior, and the other 50% is basically the interior. Okay, if there's 75% damage, means the interior also must be damaged. You cannot have a vehicle that only has exterior damages, visible, keyword, visible exterior damage. Okay, let me write here. Okay, across the exterior, I'm going to emphasize this word and. Okay, so this one you can have or, and or. Okay, because not necessary the interior has to be damaged if it's 50% damage. Okay, but if it's 75% damage, you better make sure the vehicle that you're looking at must have visible. Okay, so again, I'll make sure I add all the word visible here for everything. Okay, so damage across the exterior and interior. Okay, most panels are barely intact. Okay, what you have is probably a maximum of two usable panels in total. Okay, 2 or 3 doesn't matter, but 75% of the vehicle is heavily damaged. Okay, keyword is visible, heavily damaged across exterior and interior. Okay, 100% damage is basically if the car is completely damaged, total loss, you cannot use it again, engine, everything has gone. Okay, so I am actually adding this also here. Okay, basically the vehicle is non-salvageable. Okay, burnt vehicles, crumpled vehicles, completely shattered, completely destroyed vehicles all fall under this category of 100% damage. Okay, remember this. So these are all the classifications. Now, before we proceed further, I'd like to show you how the task looks on the platform. So this is how the task actually looks, as I showed you earlier. You see the URL here. Okay, so URL 04 is basically, if you scroll up here, you'll be able to see the it's mapped to passenger rear view. Okay, so that is the URL. So obviously the box tool, this is how the box tool works. You're familiar with it. Okay, and of course, once you have drawn the box, you will then select the rating. Now the special thing about this is, if you can see this, once you hover over the damage, you will have some explanation that will also help you. It's basically a short form of what we have in the instructions document. So right here we have, so here, no visible damage or minor scratches slash flat tires. Again, you see I'm emphasizing it again. Okay, some small dents or dings, visible small dents, two or more rusty spots or dirty interior or slight tear on the seat. Okay, slight tear means it could be a slight tear, slight dent, it could be a detached bumper that is perfectly fine, heavy scratches or light interior wear and tear. Okay, maybe the dash, maybe there's maybe a slight tear on the steering, on dashboard. Okay, 25% damage. Again, you see they have emphasized the word visible damage here. Okay, don't assume the damage, you have to be able to see it. Okay, now 25% or less of a visible or exterior of the vehicle that is heavily damaged. Okay, you can have it be detached bumper that is damaged. Okay, broken wheels, dented panels or shattered glass panels. The rest of the vehicle is basically in a good condition. So if you look at this picture right here, if you want to classify 25%, so maybe this part here is 25%. Okay, so if you want, sorry, if you want to see, yes, and then this part right here is another 25%. So the front driver and passenger is another 25, then the hood part is another 25%. So four sections, 25, 25, 25, 25, makes the 100% of the car. So this is another way for you to actually use the percentage value. Okay, now moving on to 50% damage. So 50% is visible damage. Okay, it could be interior or exterior of the vehicle, okay, that are heavily damaged. Okay, but remember 50% of the vehicle must be still in good condition. Okay, now for 50% you can have only the exterior damaged, okay, or only the interior damage for 50%. Okay, because if you look at this, okay, another example, the whole interior part can make up of a total of 50%. The exterior alone can also just make the 50%, providing this part of the exterior is not damaged. Okay, 25 and the front 25 makes it 50%. So if you have a heavy damage on the front and also a heavy damage on the back, but this section right here is all completely good, then you can say that it is 50% because it's only the exterior. The moment you jump to 75%, yes, you must have interior and exterior being heavily damaged, because there's no way you can have a 75% damage if there is no interior damage. Okay, of course, when I say interior damage, visible, you have to be able to somewhat see there is a damage. Okay, for example, obviously if the roof has collapsed, you know that there is damage in the interior. Okay, 100% obviously non-salvageable vehicles. Okay, nothing is usable, and the damage is interior and also exterior of the vehicle. Okay, remember this. Now, going back to the instructions here, now let's go through some examples that I want to show you, okay, on classifications, okay. So here are the explanations again. So here we have a vehicle, so I think best would be to zoom into this picture right here so that we can see better. So now in this picture right here, okay, if you can see, there is a flat tire, okay. So, and if you can zoom in right here, you will see there are some scratches. So you are required to zoom into the instructions to be able to see a better picture. So here there are some scratches and as a flat tire. Now, according to our classification rule, this will be a no scratches or minor scratches category, which is 0% damage. So you will just mark this as no damage. So again, if there's no damage, if there's minor scratches, do not draw a box. Okay, you don't draw a box. There's no annotations to be done. You will just basically select this and submit the task. Sorry. So this is how you should submit it if you are selecting this. Okay. Now, the next thing is this, for example. Okay. Same thing. Okay. Although you can see the car is basically not correctly, it's a bit tilted to the right, but remember we are talking about visible damage. So there's no visible damage. Okay. No visible damage. We treat it as no damage. So you just don't draw a box. You submit it by selecting no damage or minor scratch category and submit it. So here's another one. Okay. So basically the seat is dropped. I mean, it's folded. So there's no damage. Again, no annotations. You just submit the task with no annotation. But by selecting that category, no scratches or minor scratches category. So the second one, which is small dents or dings. So as you can see in this picture, all right. So there is basically a detached bumper right here, okay, and then there is also some heavy scratches right here. So this basically falls into the category of slight dents, okay, here, okay, front bumper with scratches and also the detached, partially detached. Of course, if the damage has been a bit more severe, obviously it would have jumped to the 25% damage category. Now here we have another example where we have a bumper that is detached. Now the bumper looks perfectly in good condition. So if the bumper has been detached but is still in good condition, okay, you will need to annotate the where the bumper was supposed to be. Okay, where the bumper was supposed to be, and also make sure, okay, you label it as slight dent because the bumper is in good condition. It's just detached. Okay, now if the bumper is partly detached, okay, just make sure you only annotate the damaged area. The parts that are perfectly fine, you do not disturb them. Okay, now here you have an image where there you can see there is a slight dent here. Okay, that's the only visible damage that you have, so which means you only draw a box right there, okay, and then you label it as you label it as slight dents. Okay, here, minor dent on the driver front fender. Annotation should only include the visible damages. Okay, so this is also another example. So here there is a dirty interior. So here dirty interior should be labeled as slight uh, slight uh, dents and dings category. Okay, now only annotate where the until where the dirt is seen. Okay, now 25% damage. Now we're going to look at 25% damage. So basically here in this example right here, so you can see a detached bumper. Okay, all right, so you can see a broken windshield and you can see a dented passenger door. Okay, So there's already a heavy damage. So there's already a heavy damage here. Okay. So which means the moment you see a heavy damage, you need to make sure you already jump into the 25% category. Okay. So of course the annotation includes all the part that is damaged, and if the panel is detached, so just include where the panel is supposed to be. All right. Now here we have another one where the damage, a skewed wheel. You see the wheel, it's broken. Okay, the moment the wheel is broken, it's a heavy damage. So the moment you have heavy damage, you jump to, it's already a 25%, and you can see here there are heavy scratches also. And you see here the panel has been, there's like a heavy tear, this part here. So obviously you are at the region of 25% damage still. Okay, now here you have basically several tests. Okay, you have several tests. Okay, of course you see the airbag, you include the airbag also. Okay, so this is also, you would say, 25%, because you don't know, you have no visibility to determine if more than other parts of the vehicle are actually damaged or not, because you can't see the visibility. Okay, so you will of course annotate the airbags. So another thing that I want to bring to your attention is, if you have, you initially what we had was, if there was an interior view but you have exterior damages, you will rate it as no damage. Correct? Now doesn't matter, interior, exterior, everything is the same. Okay, as long as you are able to see a damage, you have to annotate it and grade it according to the percentage. Please make sure that you include into the annotation. Okay, if you see a damage, regardless if it's exterior or interior, rate the damage according to the severity and the percentage of the damage, like this. Okay, all right, this we would still say 25% damage. Okay, because we can only see the interior part of the vehicle and only the front seat. Okay, two airbags, it's already a heavy, you can see. Okay, some heavy tears here. Okay, 25%. All right, now 50% damage. So now you'll already see certain parts of the vehicle that are heavily damaged. Okay, so obviously you have a damage at the fender, at the hood, the windskill's gone, and also there's basically some burn marks here. Now you will say, you can easily say that this front whole part here makes up 50% of the vehicle, and exactly the 50% part of the vehicle. Okay, so but the remaining 50% of the vehicle has no visible damages. So this makes perfect 50% damage. Now same another thing here. Okay, you can see that half of the vehicle here, okay, is heavily damaged, where the whole back part here has been dented inwards. Okay, all right, one may argue that, hey, this just looks like a dent, but if you look at the shape of the car, you can see that this whole thing here is dented inwards. Okay, obviously this whole part should be a 50% damage, and also should be annotated, this whole thing. Okay, now here's another interesting finding, where you have dirty interior, damaged door panel, airbags being deployed. Okay, so all this, okay, you can say, you can treat this to be a 50%, because number one, you can see the door panels all being uh, broken. Of course the interior, okay, is also dirty, and also you can see airbags being deployed. Okay, so because of this would be a 50%. If only the airbags are deployed and also the interior is dirty, you can still stick to 25%. But because the door is also damaged, we have to now say that, because there is also the exterior and also the interior being damaged. Okay, now 75% damage, obviously when you have 75% damage, the damage must cover uh, interior and exterior. Okay, so if you look at this picture right here, this would be a 75% damage where you only have one or two panels that can be usable. Obviously the bumper seems to be perfectly fine, and also maybe the rear bumper is fine. Other than that, it looks like everything has been heavily damaged, although the roof seems to be fine also. Okay, all right, and the reason why we include the roof, because the roof is not where it's supposed to be. Okay, so obviously box until where you can see the damage. See how we have left out the wheels, because flat wheels are not considered as a damage, so you don't include the wheels here. So just annotate where the damage is supposed to be. Okay, and make sure you do the selection, okay, for it to be 75% damage, because from the way we look at it here, 75% of the vehicle is heavily damaged. So here we have another vehicle where we have several damages. Obviously the back part here is entirely gone. Okay, windows are shattered, and the front part bumper also is also damaged. Okay, so obviously, and the only part that's probably usable in this vehicle is the windscreen. Okay, the front dashboard, and also, well, technically if you look at it this way, only this part that is in the front is probably usable. Other than that, the roof's gone, the doors gone, the windows gone, the interior, half of the interior, more than half of the interior is also gone. Okay, so we would rate this as a 75% uh, damage. So this is another example of where you have only the interior view. So because it's only the interior view, okay, we are rating this as a 75% damage because, okay, you look at this here, windscreen damage, okay, window damage, this window is also damaged, dirty. Okay, so based on this, okay, you are only able to say that, okay, in this case you are able to say maybe one or two panels only are usable in this, probably the steering wheel and also this center compartment here. Other than that, everything is pretty much damaged heavily, so which means this would also fall under 75% damage. Okay, make sure the box is drawn until where the damage is, until where the visible damage is. Okay, now 100% damage, obviously, okay, it is fully damaged, the car is completely lost. Okay, burnt vehicles, crumpled vehicles, okay, all those are 100% damage. So here are some examples: no usable parts at all. So here there's another one where it's an interior view where it's burnt. Okay, so if you see an interior view of any burnt vehicles, you can treat them as 100% damaged, unless you see otherwise where it's only burnt on a certain part, then you basically grade them according to the percentage that you're able to see. Now here are some edge cases that I want to go through. Okay, so basically what we had issues is that there were uh, uh, parts where uh, workers tend to misunderstand the level of damage. So we want to do a comparison. So here are some comparisons between the first category, which is no scratches or minor scratches, versus slight dents and dings. Okay, so here are some here. So here, obviously, you only have a flat tire. Flat tires are considered no damage, so you don't have to do annotation. So damaged, here you have a bumper that is detached, nothing heavily damaged, the bumper seems fine. You annotate where the bumper was supposed to be, and you will label it as slight dent. Here obviously it's an interior, nothing's wrong, everything's fine, you will just rate this as zero visible damage. Now in this case right here, okay, you can see there is a slight, okay, small tear at the seat. Okay, so small tear at the seat, you will treat it as, okay, slight dent. So these are all differences. So you to basically, for you to basically understand where the classification should go under. Now next thing we want to look at is slight dents and dings versus 25% damage. So when it happens. Obviously, slight dents will not have any heavy damages. So you see, just slight detachment, okay, it's considered as slight dent. So here there is there's two levels of tear, okay, and also there is some dent, there's a dent here. So the bumper here is dented inwards, okay. So and also here, this bumper right here, there's been like a massive tear also, okay. So I think also another heavy damage where the fender is dented inwards, okay. So any parts that's sticking out, please make sure you remember to uh, include the parts that's sticking out, okay. Another thing that I want to bring to your attention is, if you have two vehicles next to each other, obviously the one that is in focus is the vehicle that you're supposed to annotate. Please do not go and annotate a vehicle that is far away, because that is not the vehicle that you're going to annotate, okay. Now here there are more examples here. Dirty seat, okay. Also there's something that is detached here, okay. So it's detached, doesn't look like a tear, just detached, still, okay, slight dings. Here obviously the airbag has been deployed, everything else is fine. Airbag deployment will cause a huge tear, so we are treating it as 25% visible damage, okay. All right. So airbags deployment will be considered as 25% damage, because that is already considered into being basically heavy damage. Obviously, damaged or area only needs to be annotated. Now, another thing that we want to look at is 50% damage versus 75% damaged. Okay, so 50% damaged is basically, you see here, this whole part here, okay, has been damaged, okay, heavily, okay. All right. So then 75% damage, obviously you will have interior and exterior heavily damaged, okay. So visible damage, so this part here makes it 100%. Obviously this part here is 50%. I'm not talking about the other side, because you cannot see the other side, so you cannot assume if there is damage or not, okay. From the visible part of the vehicle, obviously this is a 75% damage, because you can see the damage across the bumper, the fender, the door, the airbags being deployed. This has been crushed, the front has been crushed, the wheel is broken. So this is obviously a 75%, okay. And of course visible, so this is the visible part. The only visible part that is usable is probably this uh this what do you call it, the rear window, rear windscreen, and also the trunk here. Other than that, all the other panels are heavily damaged, okay. Oh, I talk about visible, so visible, so not the whole, when I mean you are assessing the whole vehicle, but only visible parts of the vehicle, okay. Again, so here we have another one where it's 50% damage, okay. Airbags being deployed, okay. All right, airbags being deployed, and there's the dirt and also airbags here, okay. Broken seat, okay. Treat this as a 50%, okay. Here 75% damage, because you can see all these parts here are heavily damaged, okay. Broken, all this part here is broken. Obviously you need to annotate the whole thing, okay. Now what we're going to look at is the difference between 75% and also uh, 100% damage. So basically, panels that are covered with plastic are considered to be damaged, okay. So which means, from the way we can see it, it seems like more than half of the vehicle is damaged. Only, if you want to assume, only maybe this part is not damaged. So we will treat this as 75% visible damage, because you can only see this part here. And a majority of this angle, the vehicle is heavily damaged. Okay. And this one, obviously 100% damage. Looking at the angle here, everything is completely damaged. So which means this is a 100% damage. So here, okay, there's another one where you have 75% damage, where only this dashboard part right here seems to be so even this dashboard is fine, but here the mirror is gone. So make sure to include the annotations, okay, for the whole thing. All right, including exterior whole dashboard, driver's seat is damaged. Annotations include all the visible damage. Yes. Okay. Now, next thing is, this is another example of 100% damage. So see the difference. If you can see the severity, you'll be able to see why this is non-salvageable, why this is 75%. That's the reason why we did it this way. Okay. Now, reporting exceptions. Basically, when do you report exception? So if you have vehicles that are not, okay, that are used for commercial, that are used for, not used for driving purpose, means any vehicle that is like a factory use, or like a vehicle that is used for some heavy machinery, those are all to be reported as exception. Okay. And if we have pictures like this where you don't know if it's a vehicle or what, or if it's a focus part of engine or license plate or what, you basically report it as exception. So these are all examples of when you should report as exception. Like this, okay, you don't know how to grade it, okay, report it as exception. Okay, this is not a vehicle, well, it is a vehicle, but it's not a vehicle that people would use, report it as exception. This one, a mobile crane or what, report it as exception. Okay. So now we want to look at the task and attempt like maybe like 10 different tasks, and use this grading scale. All right. And then we will try to basically try to attempt the task and see uh, how accurate we are in terms of getting the scales right. All right. So here's the first example. Now, as you can see, the rear has been heavily damaged, and also the front has also been heavily damaged. Okay. Now, from the way we are looking at it is, the interior looks perfectly fine. All right. And it looks like this whole interior section is completely intact and nothing's wrong. So the way we need to box it is basically we need to box the rear and the front. Okay, assume till where the bumper is supposed to be. Okay, and also for the rear damage, you need to make sure you include until where you can see the actual damage, which is this part here, this point here, and then here you assume where the bumper is. Okay, so the bumper might be covering until somewhere here. Okay, because the bumper has been detached already. All right, now in terms of the damage, here's the part that we want to discuss. Okay, so obviously, okay, the reason why this whole car has been annotated, because this is a unique case where the front is also damaged and the back is also damaged. So the front, obviously 25% seems like 25% of the front is damaged, and 25% of the vehicle is also damaged. So basically the rating should be, this should be a 50% damage. Okay, now let's look at this picture right here. So here you can see the vehicle. All right, now as you can see, this part here that is damaged. Okay, no other visible damage is visible. Now if you look at this damage right here, it seems like the damage has it's a pretty heavy damage. So it's a heavy damage where the fender has been severely dented outwards. Okay, and the damage is pretty severe. Okay, now this we consider it as a heavy damage. Therefore, now in this case, you can see that the car that is tilted to the side a bit, but you're unable to see any damage at the vehicle exactly. Now you may seem to argue that here at the here there is like a rusty spot. Okay, but according to the instructions, okay, any small rusty spots, okay, All right, minor scratches or minor rust spots are all considered as no damage. Okay, now, okay, so again at the front here, I am not sure if this is actually a damage, okay, because it's not visible enough for me to be able to grade the damage. Okay, so which means because I can only see this particular rust spot here, okay, and because the rust spot is not basically enough to be saying that this is a big rust spot, or two or more rust spots, I'm going to just pick this. Okay, so and then I will basically submit. Now, of course, the door being open is not considered as a damage. There's no visible damage. So which means I am going to basically just submit this task, okay, without any annotation by selecting no scratches or very minor scratches. Okay, and of course, this part here is not enough for me to be able to determine if there is an actual damage. And this bumper right here, I don't know if it belongs to this vehicle at all. Okay, now here, then we just submit the task. Now in this case, as you can see here, all right, so obviously this is not to be determined as damage. So here there is an airbag being deployed here, so the airbag should be annotated. Okay, dirt on the windscreen, it's fine, there's nothing to be annotated there. Is check for any tears or any damage on the seat area. If everything is fine, okay, there's nothing else damaged, you simply need to pick as 25% damage, because okay, airbag damages are considered to be at least a 25% damage, because it is a heavy damage. Okay, so now in this case, obviously here you can see that this part has been, okay, has got a heavy damage at this point here. Okay, going to the classifications, obviously, okay, and this is obviously not a small dent. Okay, this is basically, all right, heavily damaged. So this obviously is a heavy damage. Okay, visible part, okay, that is heavily damaged. Okay, this obviously is not a slight damage. Okay, therefore you would pick this as to be 25% damage. Okay, in this case, this vehicle right here has been damaged all the way to the front here. Okay, just make sure you include until where the bumper should be. Obviously you can see that the vehicle's damage covers until the front uh, window here. Okay, all right, so to what extent this damage is, so if we look at the instructions document, okay, we go up to where it is, part right here, small 25%. So here now, obviously it's not 25%, because in this case the hood is fine. Okay, just the door is dented, the fender all is fine. But in this case, okay, this particular example that I have in the task here, you can see that the hood, the fender, the bumper, and also the windscreen is damaged. So which means, looking at the overall estimation of the vehicle, I would say this is a 50% damage. And basically that is how you attempt the task. Now please make sure you go through the instructions document from time to time. Make sure you check, okay, the edge case documents to see better in terms of the classifications. Make sure, okay, you go through this instructions document and familiarize yourself with the particular body panels. Okay, now another important thing is, before you're given access to the production sheet, you need to fill up this webinar feedback form. Okay, now again, you need to put in your email address here. Make sure your email address is correct, your name, and the webinar code. I'm going to give it here right now, KA-1 P-3. This is the webinar code. And the trainer name is basically video training. Date and time is basically you need to fill up what time you're watching the video, and also it's not a required field, so you can submit the form without even filling up this. Again, the webinar code is this: follow exactly, do not accidentally put something else, or you will not be given access to attempt the production task. Now again, let me remind you again, please make sure you check this document from time to time for any updates, especially this document right here. Okay, by the time you're seeing this video, this edge case document might already be up, so you will be able to actually access additional explanation on certain panels that might be confusing or we have not looked at it yet. So please make sure you are actually familiarizing yourself from time to time with the different panels and classifications before you actually work on the production task. Now, remember, if you have any questions, ask in the Slack channel, and make sure you remember to ask questions in the Slack channel and tag the relevant people if you're not sure. Okay, again, please make sure, okay, you check these tabs from time to time. Okay, and as for again for the webinar code, this is the code. If you don't fill up the code properly, you will not be given access to do the training production task. Okay, and as the trainer name is basically video training, and the date and time for the video is as and when you're watching it. Okay, if you have already given access to the production task, you don't really need to bother about this feedback form again. All right, now basically the task that you need to do is this, which is this. Okay, you will basically have content 1, content 2, and content 3. Okay, so you'll be able to work on either content 1, okay, or content 2 or content 3. All right, if you're working on content 3, you will be able to see the work of content 1 and content 2 people, but you will not be able to change anything. Okay, you only need to make sure that you fix the annotations and also provide your own answer. Please make sure you don't accidentally submit a task that is without editing or fixing it. All right, you know for a fact that it cannot go into these first two categories, so it's either 25% onwards. Okay, now the way we annotate this is basically you only annotate where you see the damage, which means you can see that the damage comes until here. Okay, and also this part here where the fender ends, and this part. Okay, this is basically where the damage area is. Now because it's a fact that this is actually a heavy damage, okay, because the fender is dented outwards. Okay, now you wouldn't say all this is damage. You cannot see to what extent the damage is. Okay, and you can see for a fact the wheels is not broken. Okay, so you cannot assume. Okay, so just annotate this part, and because of the fact it cannot go into no scratches or small dents, we have no other option but to choose 25% damage. Okay, so this is how you should annotate this particular image right here. Now if you have any scratches, like for example this tiny scratches right here, all those are to be ignored, because based on our rule, okay, minor scratches or no scratches are considered as no damages.